Hello and welcome to the Knowing Show. I am your host, Christine Marie, and y'all, this is going to be an incredible conversation. Just in the few minutes that Jennifer Bagley and I have been in the green room, there's some important things that we're going to be talking about today, namely building community and the need for community in an AI world. And y'all, this is so important. This is so critical because more and more people are turning to AI to supplement the human connection that they're craving. And there's an epidemic of loneliness. There's an epidemic of emotional unhealth and crisis that can be satiated with community. In addition to, there's so much support we can give each other on a business front. And I am so incredibly excited to bring in Jennifer Bagley. She's a nationally acclaimed AI expert, digital strategist, and y'all, she has built a massive community and it's built on the back of AI. So she's really the queen in both regards. And so, Jennifer, thank you for joining us today on this really important topic.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
I'm
had me crying in the green room before we started this thing, so my eyes start showing a little,
Oh my gosh. Well, it was so funny in the green room. Just to tap on that for just a moment, Jennifer, I think I've mentioned this once or twice. I have this practice of just getting really centered with each guest and by myself too, when I do these shows alone, and just say a prayer for each other, for you listening, for this conversation to be powerful and so meeting its massive potential for the connection conversation that we're going to have. And so as we were doing that, I just had this impression, this feeling and sense that Jennifer's literally making a colossal impact in the world. And it's so important what she's doing. And it really is an honor to have her here today. So I just wanted to share that with you all so that you can tune in and lean in extra for this conversation. So moving forward.
No
more tears. Jennifer, you work a lot on the AI side, really helping contractors understand how to implement AI in their trades businesses. And you've built a community. You're on Circle, correct?
Yes.
And they're eating it up. How many members do you have today?
We haven't even officially launched yet, but it's over 500 right now, and that's pre-launch, which is starting to take a life of its own, which is awesome. I think we're launching in 3 weeks.
Nice. So, yay!
Really cool. Yes.
Oh, cool. That's so exciting. Man, 500 members before launch. That's great.
Accident.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, well, so it's awesome. It's really awesome. It's really incredible to watch how everybody is participating and sharing and asking those tough questions and encouraging each other. It's a good, safe space, and it's been awesome.
Yeah. Well, and there's different spaces that you have set up in Circle. So if you go on the Circle platform, and when we were initially meeting, you pulled it up and shared your screen and showed me how there can be different spaces within this one kind of cohort of community where people can go in and talk about different things. So backing up in terms of, you have your digital company around, it's the CI Web Group, and you've been changing businesses kind of from the inside out and really helping them do digital transformation. But you've really focused and honed in on the contractor trade side of things. What was the cause for that shift, and when was that?
So back in, I want to say it was either March or April of last year, I was at a speaking event in Kauai for a company called Daikin, which is one of the world's largest manufacturers for HVAC equipment. And I was sitting out, it was myself, my husband, and one of our business partners, Darren Dixon, and his wife, Whitney, and we were sitting out on the lanai at our VRBO after the speaking event, and we were sipping on cocktails, and my phone rang like 8 times in a row. We were in a deep conversation, the post-event strategy, like we were deep in it. And I was like, okay, let me get this, because this is my kids. And they got on and they were like, dude, Mom, you got to check this out. Check out this website. And they sent me to ChatGPT. And I was like, this website sucks. It doesn't even load. I'm getting errors and times outs and so forth. And they're like, no, keep trying until you get it to work. Keep trying until you get it to work. And so we all sat on the porch for like 4 cocktails and all of a sudden I think it was Darren that got it to work first. And I was like, all right. I called them back. I was like, all right, now what? And they're like, well, talk to it. Like, what were you guys just talking about? Start having the conversation. And we started chatting. And I was like, oh, so my background, like I grew up in a developer's household. My dad was he was the first developer that developed a 2D video game. If you look up Kevin Bagley on Wikipedia, like he was way advanced, way ahead of his time. I grew up in a coder's house. My cousins are coders. My nephew, they're all heavy developers. Most of my cousins were developing code like in the garage with my dad, but before they could go to elementary school, they were crazy. And so when I saw this, I called my dad and I was like, you need to check this out. And this was before he passed. And this was a very, I don't know, one of those moments where you're like, this is going to change the world and it's going to change it fast. Like this is really big. Like thinking about how all AI worked, it's not like AI didn't exist before that, because we've used AI in data pipelines and building, and our developers have used it previously, but it's more like working in cursor in code. And so when you think about having the masses have the ability to leverage AI from a conversational standpoint, from a agentic standpoint, super agent, and then like now a model control protocol, like this is going to change everything. This is everything is going to change. So the very first place we started was, we're going to have to rip our own company from the inside out. We're going to have to rethink everything, like from the way we build websites, generate content, do analysis, hire staff, evaluate staff. This is going to change everything, and it has already. Yeah. So we've really been just trying to predict the future of what is the impact on the consumer a year from now. So back then, this was, I want to say this was like July. We were sitting down with our devs talking about the future, and I call it like the boardroom or the fireside conversation, when you're like trying to think, what does this look like a year from now? What does this look like 2 years from now? And I remember my cousin, Chris, who's he's head of our IT infrastructure and AI engineers. And he was like, why does a WIMP exist? And I was like, what are you talking about? He was like, Windows, icon, menus, and pages. Why does that exist if you have the ability to have a conversation with a business? No different than, like, why would someone clickety click to this device and ask it whatever you want? As long as it's well trained, it can answer your questions, it can schedule, it can book, it can do everything. And he was like, websites are not going to exist 3 years from now. And I was like, well, we build websites. What's our business? Hang on a minute. Let me sit in that pocket for a minute. And it just spiraled into like, marketing in the same environment is not going to exist. And so we put that on the vision board and said, all right, work backwards. So 3 to 5 years from now, all of the population has access to an AI agent that they've well trained, that knows their family, knows what they like, knows where they live, knows their access to their credit cards, whatever. And this AI agent's now their personal assistant. How does that change what we do for businesses to help them prepare? And that's when we started basically ripping out the guts of our entire company and everything that we do and think and use.
Wow. Jennifer, that's so huge. I did a fireside chat yesterday with a gentleman named Matt Vudare Shapiro, and he's the CMO of the #1 fastest growing company in the US. And it was so fascinating because we were talking about his transition from selling his company and then moving to the role of CMO for the company that acquired him. And so much of what he was saying was effectively not being married to any part of your business. Not being married to the product, not being married to the sales process, not being married to the way that you iterate among your team. Everything. And everything you just said is a beautiful picture of what is so critical for every entrepreneur and every founder, and even just executive in general. We can't actually think creatively if we're tied closely and knit and married to what it is that we've built thus far, because then also there's going to be emotional attachment and not be able to even see clearly of what's possible. So can you talk a little bit about that in terms of, having the wherewithal necessary to be able to dream and vision to that level that might even end up killing your baby?
Yes. So you know what? There were like these pinnacle moments that caused me to lean in further. That was the first one. The second one was there's this window of time, obviously, between like October 2024 and now, where if you're following like the employment market, you notice how if you go backwards, there was this period of time where it was like quiet quitting and I don't want to work very hard and make sure I have all of this time off. And it was this kind of interesting little window of people that are like, well, I matter more than everything. And I don't know, there was this period of time. Yes. And then like instantaneously as AI adoption and the functionality of AI began to scale rapidly, it switched from that to millions of layoffs at every major corporation across the entire planet, right? The Meta is laying off 400,000 people. Microsoft is laying off another 400,000 people. All of these layoffs because AI was like, okay, well, I mean, if you don't want to work very hard and so forth, and this is this quiet quitting, fine, I'll put AI in place, and now AI is performing all these jobs. So that was like a that was a and I live in Seattle, so I'm watching it it in the backyard, and I'm like having lunch with people that are like, I can't get a job. And then we were in Hawaii and our kids got pregnant. Yeah. And that was another like, what is his life gonna look like?
Yes.
And then it changed again. And then it made me like rip my insides out and go, this little baby, my only grandbaby, is about to come into this world, which he's here now as of Sunday. So what does this life look like? Like what the heck is going on in the school systems and with the education system? And what's my responsibility with this little man? What am I supposed to teach him to make sure he has a viable way to make a living and have a career and so forth in an environment where we are going to have robots walking the streets? We are going to have robots cleaning our house. We're going to have robots installing air conditioning systems. I mean, that is inevitable. Right. We're going to get there, even in the roofing industry. Like they're having to deal with employee issues. They're having to deal with the fact that robots now can install shingles. Like they can mow lawns. We're vacuuming the house every day. So just when these are our family conversations, this is what happens when we sit and play card games and we're talking.
Yes. I love it.
So, you know, those kind of moments are what allows me to look internally at our business and really rethink everything and go back to our team and go, I don't want you to think about how it's always been done. I don't want you to think about how you do it. If you had the ability to perfect it and do things entirely different, if money wasn't an issue, if time wasn't an issue, if you had the ability to create the perfect set of agentic agents that allowed you to do what you always knew you should, but didn't have the money, time, bandwidth, or resources to get done, then what it would look like. Tell me that. And it got to the point where even within our own organization, we had people on our team that had one foot in and one foot out, right? Mm-hmm. Like, well, I kind of get it, but I think maybe it's going to be 10 years from now. And I'm like, I do not think so. But tell me when you bring your other foot in, because I need you in this space, right? And you see people with 2 feet out that are like, you're crazy. This isn't going to happen. This is a fad. It's a pipe dream. They're no longer here.
Yeah.
And then you had the ones that were like, all right, I trust you. I know I can't see it. I know I can't touch it. I know it's not here yet, but this makes sense. I'm in. I'm going to learn. And they started having to rethink everything, and where they would have done something manually. Now they're like, well, I can build a sequence of 20 AI agents that can now take this off my plate so I can focus on something that requires a brain, requires human connection, requires me to think about what we're doing. Because we have pretty much automated, I would say 90% of inefficiencies, redundant tasks, lever pulling tasks, anything really strategic that we have trained the AI to be able to do, like, things are in place. So now the only humans that are in our team, like if you're here, you better be really good at building relationships, really good at providing exceptional service, and really good at training and managing AI and making it better, which is no different than training people, but you get consistent results.
It's really so much. And you talked about education here with your grandbaby coming in. Yay, by the way. Woohoo. I was talking yesterday with someone about this very thing of how AI is effectively forcing the education system to change. You know, our curriculum for grades under 12 was formed by the Rockefeller family, and it was very much so trained to train industry laborers, you know, factory workers. And so it's forcing the issue for us to re-examine the content and the material in and of itself that is shaping the education system, thank God. And it's also forcing what I hope and pray is that in us examining and incorporating this new intelligence, artificial intelligence, with the intellectual intelligence, they also examine and consider the integration of emotional intelligence. Because what you just said, the way that you're kind of demarcating your team, not just are they bought in, but also do they have these soft skills of engaging with people, you know, because the hard skills are kind of taken care of. We've got the AI bots to do the IQ. Artificial intelligence effectively replacing intellectual intelligence to an extent. And really the EQ is really what people are going to hire and fire for.
Yes, 100%. How does what's happening make them feel? Right?
Yeah.
That's a big deal. That's a big deal. And I think when most people have been trained to pull levers based on an SOP that might be outdated, we lose that. And now I'm like, no, that's gone. You don't have to think about that anymore. So now you're going to have to think bigger. How do your interactions make them feel? Don't just say we perform the work. Add a smiley face, add a phone call, add all of those personal things that AI can't do, because we just bought you the time to be able to be better. Now let's be better humans to each other. So it's not about the automations and the efficiencies and everything else. Now it's about, okay, you have time to pick up a phone. I just did it with 5 clients. I said, hey, I just looked at your design. I'm loving this, with the heart. That's a personal text.
Yes.
Done better or done faster? Yes. But that has to translate into, now I can do something that's more connected. Now I can make people feel better about the things we're doing faster. It take a minute.
Yeah. Yeah. Presence is now irreplaceable. And it's probably one of the highest values. I was thinking last year about, actually it might have been 2 years ago, I just had this thought around emotional presence is currency. And even more so now, to your point, we've got time back. And so are we just going to start, are we trying to, and so this is actually a question I have for you in terms of pricing, you know, because now it's not necessarily, okay, we can now do probably, I'm curious what your team is doing. Is it 3x, 5x, 10x, 2x, the amount of work that they could do in a specific amount of time? But do you instead duplicate and expand upon, okay, now let's execute more work, or do we leverage that time for interpersonal relationship building? So how do you kind of examine that?
So we're tracking that for all functions of the business. So I have some functions of the business where we're operating at 1,000x. I have some that are functioning around like 150 to 180. And I have some where it's 2x.
Yeah.
We're not, I mean, I think we've like, yeah, web development. Ooh. Yeah. I have a whole team of people designed, like their whole mission is to try and solve for that and improve that. So can we take on more work and more business with less humans? The answer is yes. And does it free people up to be able to apply more weight and more pressure and more time to personal connection? Yes. Like that's where the community came in. Like even for myself, as we've grown over the years, we've been in business since 2026. We went through these phases where I even personally became more disconnected from our clients
Yeah.
I would maybe meet them at an event on stage, but the bigger we got, the more disconnected I got. And that, I think what's been really cool about the last year is, for me personally, it's allowed me to switch gears and go figure out how to get me closer to our customers. There's a lot more of them. I want the same feeling where I had the ability to jump on and tell them what I was thinking, where we were headed, and what was coming, and why I was investing in certain things and so forth. Way back then, when I knew every client, and so I was like, well, let's do this community. Let's give me access to everybody in a group, and that has been wonderful. Wonderful. We were on a live stream yesterday with the community, and it was how to use AI for social media marketing. And I was able to go in there and I said, what's the acronym I use for AI's impact on your business? Like, when do you win? And one person went there and wrote CFB. I don't even know who that was. I know they're a client, but I don't know them personally. And that's click the freaking button.
Yes. CFB.
CFB, baby. Tattoo.
I love it. That's so good.
Awesome. I was like, that's what this was for. I wanted to be able to be closer to them. And that meant a lot, because even without me knowing them, they, that meant a lot.
Yes. Right. And that's a goal, right? So it really comes down to, as you've been talking, I'm thinking, what's probably one of the most actionable steps that someone can take for their business after listening to this conversation. I think a really good actionable step, among others, is to clarify what is the why behind this excess time that is now saved. What's the why in terms of what's your vision and where are you actually taking the company, given the change of emerging technology and how everything is shifting. And then what do you do with that time? Because what a blessing, even to take that time and vision, to be creative and actually work with, I love just sitting down and talking to them and having them be my accountability partner and help me think bigger and be more creative. So I'm actually using a lot of my time for that as I'm rebuilding the company from the inside out. Mm-hmm. And so I love this question of how are you going to leverage the time that's afforded you?
Yeah, I agree with that. And I do agree that your why matters, right? If you don't have that, this is my motto. Without clarity, you cannot focus. Without focus, you cannot execute. If you don't execute, you don't win. Yeah. So it starts with clarity. And I mean clarity as in complete clarity. It's actually the tagline of Just Start AI, because it's this just start with clarity. Like, get this. I don't need to teach you how to use AI. I need you to get clarity on what is it. Why do you need it? How does it benefit you? What is the purpose? Yes. And what are you going to do once it's implemented? Like, this is, I think a lot of people think AI is ChatGPT. And I'm like, okay, it's a lot bigger than ChatGPT. ChatGPT to me is like Alexa.
Yes.
Not really a cool little device. Yes,
right.
But they've got to have the why. And then they have to be willing to think differently. This gives you the ability to have rapid application and perfect over time, which means if you're going to freak out because it's not perfect, don't do it. Stop it. Just go back to manual. Go back to slow, because you have to be able to implement and learn very, very fast. And so not everybody's cut out for that. They tend to have a panic attack if something's not perfect. That's what AI is. It's rapid application and learning and retraining and learning and retraining. It's whoever implements the fastest and refines the fastest wins.
And what I really loved as you were sharing your story about kind of those moments of realizing and moments of pivots throughout the last 18 months. I love that your response, you audibly said, And I love that it's like, oh, wow, look at a dear friend of mine. He said, effectively, this whole rise of AI is like everyone standing at the foot of Pompeii. And like, they just have no idea how massive, how big this is. And, I just think that your ability to analyze it with just curiosity and kind of an openness allows for creativity to flow. Because the second our fight, flight, freeze, or fawn activates and our nervous system gets scared, we shut down, our survival instincts kick in, and then we lose access to the rest of our, who is it? David Goggins says that, you know, when that happens, we lose access to the remaining 60% of our brain capacity to think. Our nervous system kicks in at 40%. So we've got this whole other category of access to create a solution if we can be curious and open to what we're seeing.
Yeah, you are 1,000% right. It's even required me to like eliminate the naysayers, eliminate those who are not creative from my space. Like I've had to block people that I'm friends with in the industry or competitors or whatnot that are constantly arguing whether it's coming and why we're doing it and what works and what doesn't work. And I just have to like full on tunnel vision, like get out of my way. I'm gonna need you to move.
Yes.
Delete. I'll come back later, but right now I don't need to see you. I don't have time to argue with you about where AI is going, what, you know, how I don't. Like either I'm surrounding myself with those who are curious and testing and can attempt to see the future with us, or I gotta go. Like I can't, because we have to sit in this space. Like I have to learn things that give me an enormous migraine.
Yes.
So complicated.
Right.
So complicated right now that are not comfortable to try and learn.
Yeah.
Like our newest venture has been this MCP environment, which we have built. So think about this. Anthropic came out in November 24th of last year, and they pitched this concept of MCP, this model context protocol, which is like the first standardization of any kind of language ever. Even it didn't even happen with code or APIs or anything like that, right? This first standardization, that was when they pitched it. And my husband and I were sitting here like at 4 a.m, like listening to AI YouTube videos, trying to learn. And this thing came out and we were like, this is really interesting. So we called our dev, who of course at 4 a.m, that's like when their best coding happens. We were like,
I love it.
Chris, help me understand this. Like to me, what I saw was this is the blockchain of AI.
Yes.
The general ledger, this is the blockchain of AI. This seems really big. And so we hired another person and we put them on it. Like you're going to learn MCP and we're going to be first. So 2 months ago, we saw the first working model of MCP and we just launched ours last week.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Which is,
wow.
I don't know. Are you a gamer? Have you ever played video games?
I have played video games. My siblings, you know, I'm ashamed to admit that I can't keep up with them, but I will play zombies at Christmas that one time a year.
Okay. So for all you gamers out there, there is a mode that's called God mode in a game. And MCP is effectively God mode for your business. It's like a centralized, we had to rebuild our own CRM platform. We had to build our own server network, long-term memory, short-term memory, RAG memory, which is a retrieval augmentation system. So we had to rebuild this infrastructure and then connect all these data pipelines. So these pipelines allow us to use the MCP to connect to everything from analytics to Webflow to all of our tools and systems, third-party systems, data, competitors, the web, every LLM platform that's out there, right? And you have the ability to communicate with the system and train it to notify you of anything cross technology. So it has the ability to say, I want you to notify me if every client that's traffic or impressions, traffic have increased, but call volume hasn't. Tell me when that happens. I want to know real time. I want to know every meeting that happened within the last and every Slack conversation that happened with all 1,000 clients. And I want you to break down every conversation for the last 7 days by sentiment, positive, neutral, and negative. And then break it down by account executive. And now I can prompt that at the end of every night at 7 p.m. while I'm in fantasy basketball right now. So while I'm trying to not get my butt kicked and have to do bad consequences, but I'm like cheering for Steph last night. And okay, Steph Curry had a really good game last night. But I can do that and I have full visibility to everything that's happening.
Yeah.
But what it's taking me to understand all of the logic, like, and get it to go. If I had unlimited access to information, what do I need?
Right.
My brain hurts every night.
Yeah. No kidding.
It's an interesting environment. Like, it's not going to think for you. You still have to think way outside of everything you've ever done. And then I've got to get everybody else to think like that too, instead of their weekly report.
Yeah. Jennifer, so we initially said we were going to talk about community, and I'm like, we'll see if we get there. We'll see if we get there. But this question does kind of tie into it a little bit. You say that you and your husband at 4 a.m. are watching AI videos on YouTube. And you said your dinner conversations with your kids, you guys are playing cards, talking about the future of the world. How did you find someone that aligned with you to be able to ensure that in your marriage, you guys are actually co-conspirators in the emerging technology, even just in interests, right? I can think of so many men and women watching this who are like, man, but my husband or my wife would never be that interested in anything that I am. So can you talk to me a little bit, not just how you found your husband, obviously that's wonderful, but how you guys cultivated this life where you guys have this shared overlap? Was it from the beginning? Was it something you guys had to work towards?
By design. My life is by design. I'm very, very, very intentional. Very intentional. So yes, my husband works in the business as well. He's right upstairs in a meeting right now. Both of my son works in our company. His wife works in our company. His best friend works in our company. And I have a lot of families within the company where it's two sisters or a mother and a daughter that work for our business. We're 100+ people deep, and I believe we tend to attract that which we are, if we're intentional, right? So
that's good. We attract that.
What you attract, you might want to change who you are.
Isn't Jennifer? Yes. If you're not liking how your life is showing up, you might need to change who you are.
Yes, that is, it's, I don't think everyone has a really strong, intentful view of what truth is, right? Our perception of the world is only our perception. If we change the way we see the world will fundamentally change.
Right.
I don't think people understand how much power they actually have. I think half the world, if not more, is running around like a bunch of chickens with their heads cut off, not paying attention to the fact that you're actually creating what you have.
Yes.
And if you like it, you have the ability to change it. But it starts with you, not changing everyone around you. That's not how it works. This is, well, without getting too far into it, but
no,
we're a bunch of magnets.
Jennifer, I'm so grateful that we went here, because at the end of the day, we're talking so much about the external, the AI world that we're finding ourselves in. And at the end of the day, it all comes back home. It all comes, back into who are you? And this is why the Knowing Agency, the Knowing Show, it's all around knowing who you are, and thus being able to create a life that you love and a legacy that's going to outlive you, something to really tangibly hand over and hand down through generations. And so I'm so glad you went there, because I think it's so easy to stay fixated on the external without ever using the external to be a mirror for us.
Everything starts internal. Everything. The rest doesn't matter unless you really understand that. And I believe deeply in that. We spent probably 3 years in a program that was capacity. It was just called capacity. And it was really, really understanding yourself, in the why, and everything you think and everything you do. It's something as simple as why do you say I love you? Because you want the response back? Do you have the ability to put into somebody else's cup without expecting anything back? Because that's here.
Yes.
So yeah, I just think I've always, even with our kids, that dinner room table means a lot. Like we used to like have them, all the kids come to the table. And I was a single mom back then. But I would have all the boys would be over and they'd want to get into a conversation about politics. This is totally off topic. I never talk about politics, but I used to sit at the table and they would tell me their view and I'd go, why? Why do you think that? And then why? Why do you think that? And why? Why do you think that? And I would have a mom call and be like, why are you trying to make my kid think something different? I was like, look, my kid doesn't even know what I believe because I don't train my kids what to think. I train them how to think.
Yes.
I do not impression my views on them. I just want them to understand why. Why did they think that? And most of the time it was because my grandma does or because my mom does. I was like, that's not enough. I don't like that answer. I want to know why you think that.
Yes. And you know, it's so funny, Jennifer, you said at the very beginning in the green room, you know, the assertive, aggressive nature that you have, which maybe if you were a man, it would be called direct. For whatever reason, it's deemed aggressive. And I think that there's something to, again, David Goggins, he said, I would rather have someone walk away from me not liking me, but being forced to square off with the truth and square off with the person in the mirror. And he's willing to sacrifice the being liked aspect. And here's the thing, if like knows like, so in reality, if that person is open and wanting to change, they're actually going to be drawn and attracted to you. It's not that we repel everybody because we speak the truth. That's not ideal. It's the truth and love, which is so that dynamic, man, maybe never sacrifice grace for the speaking of truth. So this whole concept of being willing to speak the truth, asking why, it is going to ruffle feathers and raise hackles because people don't like digging that deep to uncover that which they fear.
Yeah, I see it all. I see it all day long. I see so many responses that I can read into it. And I'm like, that's just literally fear and ignorance combined together, which is not a good look. Not a good look. Which it's okay not to know. I'm on calls all the time with new clients or prospects. And I'm like, they're like, well, what about blank? I have no clue. No clue. Haven't tried it yet. Don't know. That hasn't happened yet. But I promise you we'll be first to figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I don't claim to know everything. I claim to practice and try a lot and and then make my decisions.
So good.
Which is life is a big petri dish. But I also believe in like the hot stove technique, surrounding myself by people significantly smarter than I, so I don't have to go touch that hot stove over and over again.
Yes, right. I love it. I think that we inevitably started talking about community just by this discussion. And the question is, you know, are you surrounding yourself with people who are like you today or people who are tomorrow, where you want to be tomorrow? People who are aware of the truth and willing to look in the mirror and square off with what they see rather than hide behind the combination of fear and ignorance. And to your point earlier, you were talking effectively about, you know, when people don't know how to think for themselves, and by way of, you didn't say that to that extent, but it's, well, my grandma or my mom thinks that. If we are so dependent on others' opinions, preferences, expectations, and also dependent on AEO, answer engine optimization, telling us what to think and what's true without ever doing it ourselves. You know, it can be external in any regard, whether it's technology or a person that we're dependent on for not actually forming our own beliefs, because ultimately that's going to drive our behavior. So with that, and just to kind of end, you know, head towards the ending, you know, how would you encourage people at the intersection of this desperate need for community and AI? How would you encourage people to assume radical responsibility, to understand who they are, understand their vision and what they want, and then proceed outward to engage with others, engage with this technology?
Ooh. I would say, first off, join juststartai.io. Join, it's free. It doesn't cost anything. And that the people that are in there are really freaking incredible. I am taking somebody who's like, all I've done is, I'm not techie. All I do is install air conditioners. And I'm like, yeah, you said that 6 months ago. And now I saw you just build a little AI agent that just effectively changed all your descriptions inside your Service Titan account. So yeah, I'm watching this evolution of these companies, these owners, these business owners, like I just had a call this morning, and he was like, I'm not techie. And I said, okay, well, I have 1 year to turn you into a technology and marketing company who happens to sell plumbing. He was like, I was like, this will be that move. What's all you
That means you're curious and open.
I love it. That's all I want.
Yeah.
Just be curious for a minute. And, I think everyone needs to be very cautious and intentional of challenging who they seek information from. Like, be more intentional about where you get your insights and information from whom, how transparent are they? Like, are they willing to sit down and show you behind the scenes and open up the database, or are they just talking with a PowerPoint? Like, get over the superficial stuff. Superficial stuff, I think, is over. I think you need to surround yourself with people that are very, very transparent, very, like, when I say truthful, I mean like gravity. Like, I jump off building, I hit ground, I might die.
Yes. Right.
A real version of that.
Yeah.
And you gotta be okay with, right now, a lot of I don't knows. Let's try. Let's try. I don't know. Let's try. And if you can surround yourself with those and people that challenge you, like, I got on a call with a partner of mine, a company called Unpack AI. He called me on, I think it was Monday or Tuesday, and he was like, all right, so you guys are doing something good. I'm going to show you what you're doing good. Like, when we build a website, we're building a version that's just straight for LLMs, and all it is text. No pictures, no code, no images, no nothing. It's just a text-based with the intent to, and we're measuring, are we getting picked up more on AI search platforms? Is our visibility increasing on those because of that? And he was like, this is good. And he's showing me a file I haven't even seen before. He was like, this is what you're doing. I'm like, can I have that link? I haven't seen that. He also was like, here's the problem. As an AI agent comes in and is trying to book, you don't have anything in here that allows for an AI agent to an AI agent to actually convert. And I was like, oh, how do I do that?
Yeah, right. That's good. That's so good.
You got to find people that are a heck of a lot smarter than you, that will challenge you and push you to do a lot of times what you already know you should, but you're not.
Yeah.
And then the things you don't even know you don't know. And if you get that network around you, like, that's gold. Like, I don't know. I want someone around me to be like, you don't even know you don't know. I'm going to help you know. Okay, listen.
Yeah, I'm going to help you know. I love that. So good. Jennifer, thank you so much. Man, I love this conversation. I'm so excited. I know that we're going to have you on the Craft and Calling podcast here in the next couple of weeks. And I'm just, you gave so much wisdom and lived wisdom, to your point about truth and the gravitational pull. It's like you've done the work and you know. So thank you for giving to us today.
You're probably one of the best podcast interviewers I think I've ever been on. So I just want to say, I love the fact that you don't have, you're brilliant, first of all. And I love the fact that you address the human connection, the community connection, the technology connection, and the business all in one, because I don't think they operate independently of each other. So
yes. Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm so excited for part 2 in the next couple of weeks. And I